Good afternoon, Lisa.
Good afternoon, Andrew.
Well, there's a new Doctor Who on the horizon.
Yes.
Isn't there?
Yes, because it was the premiere for Jodie's first episode yesterday.
And
Yes.
the trailers have started in earnest and other places.
Yes.
So you came up with the idea
Yes.
of looking at the first episode of each Doctor.
Yes, each of the first 7 Doctors.
Yes.
Because obviously a lot of people watching this will be more familiar with the new series Doctors. And unfortunately Paul McGann's
It will take too long.
It will take too long to watch. So we will look at Paul McGann, but not at this precise moment because we've got to be able to jam it in before Jodie starts.
Yeah.
We've
But
got less than 2 weeks now.
essentially, with a new Doctor, you hope it's what they call a jumping on point for new
Yes.
viewers, don't you? And this what's coming up in the next couple of weeks is very much designed as that, isn't it? It's a fresh start.
Yes.
But of course, the freshest of starts has to be
The first one.
An Unearthly Child.
And here it is.
So there's the DVD,
Yes.
and the cover's just Susan, isn't it?
It's just Susan. Yes.
Yeah.
Susan and the TARDIS and the feds.
But I've also dug out the Target novelisation with a very shiny red logo and a very season 17 looking TARDIS with a blue light and a flash on it that says first publication of the very first Doctor Who story, published in 1981, written by Terence Dix. Would cost you £1.25. In Australia it would cost you $4.50. Goodness me.
Which was probably about £1.25.
And in Malta, £1 Maltese pound and 30 cents, I presume. But it says, a strange girl who knows far more than she should about the past and the future. 2 worried teachers whose curiosity leads them to a deserted junkyard, an extraordinary police box, and a mysterious traveller known only as the Doctor. A fantastic journey through space and time, ending in a terrifying adventure at the dawn of history. Doctor Who and An Unearthly Child, the beginning of a legend. So yeah,
Right.
one of those slim volumes because it runs to 128 pages for all 4 episodes. We're only going to talk about episode 1 here, aren't we?
Well, or An Unearthly Child.
Yes.
Which is episode 1.
Now, I have to ask, when's the first time you think you saw it?
See, now I wish you had asked me that because I really don't know. I know I saw the pilot on the Lime Grove day or weekend or whatever it was.
Because that would have been 1991, I think.
Yes, I saw the pilot and I couldn't tell you if I'd seen An Unearthly Child episode 1
Yeah.
before that or not. Because I know I had the video.
I was going to say, the Hartnell Years video had the pilot on, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
Yes, and I had the Hartnell's video.
Yeah, but did An Unearthly Child come out on video before that? I honestly
can't remember.
I honestly can't remember the order. And
It's
somebody would no
it's
doubt
all
tell us.
such a long time ago. It all blurs into one.
But the pilot edition broadcast, and the Hartnell Years version, like the 2 takes of the TARDIS scene. So one's got the wonky doors and the other one hasn't.
Doors just slamming, boom.
I remember
Boom. That's all you get.
we were filming Genesis of the Wogans in the quarry in Salisbury.
And didn't you all rush back to see it?
No, not all of us. I think it was just Andrew, Candice and Warren went back home to watch it. I think it was them 2. We hung around in the quarry and I got virtually heat stroke because I was extremely ill when I got home.
Yes.
I was very poorly. Just had a terrible headache from being out in the sun all day. I should have had a hat.
You should have had a hat.
But yeah, the idea that the pilot episode was being broadcast was really quite exciting. So that was nice. I, of course, would have first seen it in late 1981, which ties in with the publication of this book, as part of the 5 Faces of Doctor Who season.
Yeah.
I would have seen a few clips of An Unearthly Child, sort of in the years leading up to it, because I know clips from it were like shown as part of Who's Doctor Who, the documentary.
Yeah.
And I think possibly turned up on Nationwide
and Blue Peter
and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was vaguely familiar with it. I didn't really know what the story was, but having seen that first episode, I thought it was really good. And
we always watch it for the anniversary.
Yeah.
Just episode 1.
I can't think how many times I've seen it, because at like things like the Leisure Hive conventions in Swindon in the sort of mid to late 80s, I'd always make an effort to visit the video room to see An Unearthly Child.
Yeah.
And this is silly, but I remember standing in the door, because it was only room for about 30-40 people in the video room. It was like a video recorder, a telly, and some chairs.
Could you see if you were at the back of the room?
Not really, because the heads in the way.
Yeah,
it wasn't like an auditorium or a theatre or anything like that. It was just like a little tiny room in the hotel. And I remember sort of standing in the doorway, and when the TARDIS took off for the first time, I whispered to myself, "The first journey." Because I was so pretentious like that. It was embarrassing. I've never told anybody that before.
You are pretentious when you're young.
I am. I know.
Yes.
But let's just go through the episode. And although, as we said, we've seen it 101 times before.
Yeah. You never get tired of watching it.
It really, really does stand up, and there's always things to notice in it.
Yeah.
So let's apply some of our sort of magnifying glass filters to it this time. And we have watched it with the production notes as well this time, which did throw up a few things we'd never really thought about in terms of the original scripts or earlier versions of the characters and things like that. So you've got the titles, you've got the theme music.
And they are iconic.
And they are absolutely spectacular for the technology of the time.
And that's something I always look forward to. That's what I'm looking forward to. And I'm quite a little tiny bit cross with Chris Chibnall that we're not going to get them to episode 2.
Are we not?
No, according to Chris Chibnall in his article, we're not getting the proper opening titles to episode 2. Episode 1 opens in a different way. But that's partly what I look forward to. When you get a new Doctor and a new production team, yes, it's exciting to see the new Doctor, but it's also exciting to see the new titles and the new theme music.
Yeah.
And the only time I've been slightly disappointed, and I was only slightly disappointed because once I listened to it again, was Matt Smith's opening music was on the initial transmission. It didn't seem to be. It seemed to be.
It didn't have quite enough oomph at first.
But if you listen to it on headphones,
there's
you really
more to
get
it,
the full benefit. And once I listened to it on headphones, I really liked it.
Because this is the thing, we've sort of heard that the new composer has got access to Delia Derbyshire's original tapes.
Very exciting.
Now, maybe I'm building up my hopes too much, because I was hoping that Matt Smith's version would go back to an electronic version like this.
I'm not sure you can have a fully electronic
version. But
version.
as you said, well, you say that, is that doing the audience at home down, because you think they won't cope with it?
I don't think it will
Are you
work.
implying that people are thicker than they were in the 60s?
No, I'm not implying that at all. I'm just all I'm saying is that in this day and age, people are more used to a more orchestral theme music. I don't know any series that is currently on that has an purely electronic theme.
Okay, it's interesting.
And it'll be interesting. I'm not saying, if it happens, it'll be great.
But
I think there'll be an orchestral element to it.
I mean, the sheer effort that goes into Delia Derbyshire's arrangement, cutting up every single note on bits of tape.
And,
Nobody would be mad enough to do that these days.
We don't need to do that these days.
Well, that's the point. You don't need to.
No. In those days,
it was the only way to... So you damn well knuckled down and did it.
And we have to say, without Delia Derbyshire's theme, it would have been a very different series.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole thing about black and white Doctor Who is that a lot of it is... There's a soundtrack on it like nothing else on television in the whole of the 60s.
And I do love Ron Grainer's thing of, did I write that?
Part of it, yeah.
Most of
bits
it,
of it,
didn't she? Yeah.
But again, the title sequence as well. And this is one of those things that it might not have worked.
No.
Because 405 line videotape and those cameras that they're using gives you that end result. The moment you change any part of that equation, it doesn't work quite as well. Because I've tried it with our video camera and our telly, and yes, you do get something like it. But what they're using there is incredibly primitive technology. But it's astonishing how well it works. It really is. Anyway, so we start off, we get the policeman, of course you do, and instantly you're referencing other TV shows of the period.
Yes.
So this is what Doctor Who always does. If you know the wider cultural context of television at the time, Doctor Who continually references what's on TV at the time. It's true in 1963 and it will be true in 2018, and it's always been the same.
Yes.
You know, that thing about, you know, what was it, people have complained, oh, Doctor Who shouldn't use pop music. Of course it should.
Of course it should.
It's cultural things of the day. Yes.
My sister, I was talking to my sister about this on Sunday, and she likes the music.
Yeah.
She likes the fact they've used a modern pop track because it attracts people's attention.
Doctor Who continually hoovers up what's in the air at the time and she puts it on screen.
She might watch the new series, A, because it's a woman,
yeah,
and B, because she likes the short look of the trailer.
Yeah, which is also why I say you get more out of Doctor Who if you watch and listen to more of the stuff that's on at the time. The more stuff from 1963 you know, the more you'll appreciate Doctor Who. And I think that's always true.
I mean, in 1963 there were 3 dramas that I can think of that match, well, 2 dramas that match Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Z-Cars.
Yeah.
And Sergeant Hawk.
Both police series, interestingly.
Series. Yes. Other dramas in that year are a lot slower.
Yeah, yeah.
But those 2 series match the pace of Doctor Who.
And the camera work.
And the camera work.
Yeah.
And to an extent, I would say probably Dixon and Doc Green, but there isn't any Dixon and Doc Green.
Dixon and Doc Green's a hard one because there's so little of it from around this period that I can't tell you what really... I don't know what it's like. No. I know what Sergeant Hawk is like, and I know what Z-Cars is like, and I agree that those 2 are...
They match the pace.
If you like Doctor Who, those are very good ones to watch.
And you should really watch Sergeant Hawk.
You really should. So I've written down Dixon of Doc Green, Z-Cars, and Steptoe and Son
because of the scrapyard.
Because of the junkyard. Yes. Yeah, and these are things that may not consciously be in the mind of Anthony Coburn when he's writing it, but they're things that the viewer at home would think the moment they see that policeman going into a junkyard.
Or looking into a junkyard.
Yeah, and it's the thing. Doctor Who does not exist in isolation.
No, it doesn't.
It's
it doesn't.
Part
and you
of
shouldn't watch it in isolation.
It's part of a bigger universe.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so what have we got? It is quite a muzzy copy compared to the pilot.
A lot clearer.
The pilot actually is sharper. It's
because it's probably not been played so much.
Possibly not. You get into Coal Hill School, and you've got the kids, the 2 girls looking at the photo, the Kenneth Williams type boy looking over the shoulder going, ooh!
Yes. And apparently it's Frank Ifield.
It's a picture of Frank Ifield.
I don't even know what Frank Ifield looks like.
We'll find a picture of him later. On the blackboard it says homework Tuesday for Thursday.
Yes.
So we assume today is a Tuesday,
yes.
Is that right?
I would assume so, yes. Because otherwise it'd take homework Wednesday, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or Monday.
All right.
And that gives you a day, 2 nights to do
it. Okay.
Which is about right.
Yeah. I did.
Or if you like me, you did that.
I did enjoy homework.
No. Nobody enjoys homework.
Ian's chemistry lab I quite like because he's got a big cupboard of chemicals up on the wall. I mean, God knows what happened if the cupboard fell off the wall.
There's lots of chemicals on the floor.
But they're big, proper 2-litre bottles of chemicals, and there's probably some horrendous stuff in there.
Yes.
Because in those days, you'd have awful stuff in your chemistry lab, stuff you wouldn't be allowed. I just love the camera to have gotten a bit closer so I can see what the chemicals were. But there's probably stuff like chloroform in there and things like that. Stuff which is you wouldn't be allowed.
No.
I mean, I don't know about sort of health and safety in school chemistry labs these days. But do you remember your chemistry teacher chucking like sodium and potassium into water and seeing it explode?
Magnesium.
Oh, magnesium burns very brightly.
My chemistry teacher nearly took his eyebrows off.
If it was magnesium, it would be a strip of wire and he'd set light to
and
it.
Went
yeah.
And it literally nearly took his eyebrows off.
I remember in one of our chemistry labs, there was a big burnt section on the ceiling where clearly the potassium in the water had gone a bit wrong, and just like a huge bit of it had probably gone up into the tiles in the.
So do you reckon the smoke, the fire alarm went off?
I'm not even sure we had a fire alarm in there.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I do remember mad chemistry teachers.
Yes, my chemistry teacher.
And to be honest, that's probably a reason why I went into chemistry.
Okay.
So anyway, Brian Blessed dancing.
Not
in An Unearthly Child.
But you get John Smith in the common room.
Yeah, so Susan's going ding ding ding, 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 ding. Is she deaf? Like she's got it jammed in her
really
ear.
Loud as well. She's not deaf when she starts. She's deaf when she finishes.
But that music, which is what's it called? 4 Guitars Mood 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a stock bit of music. And yes, if you watch the first episode of Z-Cars, which is called Four of a Kind,
yes.
you can see Brian Blessed outside a disco,
dancing to the music.
jigging.
Is that just before he puts his hand into the car?
No, that's a different episode. Right. No, but he's it's where they first recruit him.
Oh right, yeah.
Because there's 2 girls wanting to go into the disco or something like that, and he's like the young trendy copper, if you can imagine that, getting down to the modern youth beat.
Well, he was young, wasn't he? Bless him.
But I just love the fact that
links the two.
That links the 2 series. There's the line in the earlier version of the script. Oh, Mr. Chesterton, he teaches me to throb.
Yeah, that's wrong on all kinds of
Is that very? That's a very wrong.
Very wrong. That's a good thing. I'm just like the idea of sitting there and went no.
Can you imagine Susan throbbing?
No.
Okay.
I'd rather not.
There's a big old edit when they're talking to Susan, and it really does stand out because the one shot's on Susan's face, and then there's a big wide shot, and suddenly she's sort of looking down, and the pace of the scene has changed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So something went wrong because it's clearly you wouldn't intend that as an edit point.
No, and it's unusual to do an edit rather than to go back to the start of the scene and do it again.
But it's that's the thing. I suppose they thought it's all right up to that. It's like me when I edit. You know, I think, well, the first half of it's all right. So if we could just, I've done this on the most recent episode of Around the Archives. I thought, well, it's all right up to that point, and I'd be interested to see if you can spot all the edits in the new
But I would say editing at that point was quite expensive.
Well,
wasn't it?
it's literally cutting tape with scissors and magnifying glasses. So it does cost money.
I'm just surprised that Warris and maybe didn't have time to go back to
because there was this rule about if you had so many edits on a videotape, you were in danger of the tape falling apart when it was being played because the stress on the tape at this point.
So you could do 2, couldn't you?
And I think it's about 3 or 4, but it's one of these things that people watching, because editing now is just all electronic.
It's just a click of a button, isn't it?
People don't realise the effort and the possible consequences.
So you didn't do it unless you absolutely had to.
The whole thing fell apart, you kept going, which is why there are fluffs.
Yeah.
You know, in other episodes, but
they just carry on normally.
Yeah. There's the decimal system. You said was a nice line because it's prefiguring
it's 1963. The legislation doesn't even go into Parliament until 1966.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a load of old coins.
I just think it's a great foresight because who would have even thought at that point that there would be decimalisation? There is.
I guess it was something that people were talking about at the time, but without going back and interviewing people, I don't really know. But
and that is an odd system. I'm sorry. Why have you got? What was it? 20 shillings to the pound and 12
pence to the shilling.
Why 12?
That's 240 pennies to the
That's an odd amount. Why not 10?
Don't ask me. It's all history.
Don't understand it. I'm a child of decimalisation anyway.
So we get the flashbacks to Susan being weird.
Yes.
And I note that the blackboard has not changed.
No.
Nobody's had time to scrub it out and then write something new on. So it still says...
I should have just moved around slightly.
It still says for Thursday.
Yeah.
The original script is full of sexism bits, though, isn't it? Yeah.
God, yes.
Against Barbara and
Susan.
What was it about backseat drivers?
Or side seat drivers.
Side seat drivers,
yeah.
Yeah, okay. The set design for the junkyard, it calls for an eccentric candlestick.
Does it wear a hat?
And an old lady's bike.
Yeah.
Now, is this an old bike that belonged to a lady
or
a bike that belonged to an old lady? Do you see the difference? Either the lady was old or the bike was old. Yeah. And I don't know which.
I'm guessing it's an old lady's bike.
I'm just thinking of
bike that belongs to an old lady.
I'm just thinking of Pigbin Josh. Some sort of lady equivalent of Pigbin Josh falling into a lake. It
would have been Stuart Fell, wouldn't it?
Ye gods.
Ye gods, yes. That is not swearing.
Ian's swearing that's been removed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ye gods is not swearing, I'm sorry. Might be a bit blasphemous. But...
He was meant to have a cigarette lighter at one point,
Yes.
but somebody pointed out, well, then that completely blows the next 3
Yes,
episodes.
yes. That's not going to be difficult if that's not going to make it
Yeah.
difficult, is it? If you've got a cigarette lighter, you can just light a cigarette.
But watching the 4 episodes as one, I like the way the no matches. I haven't got any matches thing.
Yeah, it pays off
then
later on.
pays off later on
Yeah.
in you know later on in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Hartnell finally enters
Yes.
after
halfway through the episode. Yeah, you don't get to see him
and
for
the
ages.
first noise you hear on the
Is him
soundtrack from
coughing
the
his
Doctor
guts
is
up.
going, oh god blimey.
I think he's just had a fag, hasn't he?
Yeah, so it is like Doctor Who is played by Bob Fleming, isn't it? But yeah, has he been... Well, you find out that he does smoke.
He does,
because
yeah.
he's got his
Yeah,
pipe
his
later
pipe,
on.
yeah.
But I like the idea he's...
But
Eh?
he comes in,
Yeah.
he's coughed, and then he does this, like he's expecting fog.
He's waving his
He's
hand
waving
about.
his hand about. What's he waving? What's there?
Is he getting rid of the telltale smoke? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, so I just put he's been on the fags, basically. And then again, the original script, says about how he opens the lock of the TARDIS. He shines a small torch-like object,
As he opens the lock
lock
comes
comes
out like
away,
in Sensorites.
like in the Sensorites. But there is a mention of a small torchlight like object, and you can't help thinking Sonic Screwdriver,
No.
because he has got the pen torch thing
He has,
at this point. And,
yeah.
and sometimes people watching this for the first time expect all of Doctor Who to be in place at this point.
Sonic
don't they?
Screwdriver and everything.
Time Lord and all of
yeah.
that. And I do find it fascinating when people watch this for the first time and none of that is there at all.
And as far as you can see, he's just a human being.
Yeah.
He's an advanced human being, but he's a human being.
Now, this is the thing that surprised me from the notes. The sets were destroyed between the pilot and the first
How
episode.
much did that cost to rebuild them?
Yeah. That's
I
the
mean,
thing.
Verity Lambert asked them to keep the sets in case they needed to do it again.
Yeah.
And they went,
So I'm going to have to go back and look at the pilot and see if you can spot the difference now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Peter Bukaki being replaced by Barry Newbury, of course, yeah. But the actual entry into the TARDIS,
it's very well
given
done.
the technical limitations of the time, is a fantastic edit.
Yeah, I mean, I know you like the bit is in the Snowmen when you get the entry through the doors for the first time.
Yeah.
Properly, you follow Clara into the TARDIS.
I mean, the first time that is done is by Kevin Davies in more than 30 years in the TARDIS.
But that's not on the that's not broadcast Doctor Who, is it?
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's the way Barbara runs up to it, and you're shooting her from behind.
Yeah, and
then then the camera reverses, and you've got a big close up of her face.
Yes.
And had you shot that any other way, it wouldn't have been as good. And that's a very intelligent use of an edit.
And it's the shock of you're outside of the TARDIS, the police box. It's a little police box. It's in a junkyard. You get inside, and suddenly you're in this massive, bright, white control room.
The doors always worry me in this though, because you've got the police box doors which go in.
Yeah.
Then when Barbara's in, you see the doors in, and they've got the roundels on the outside.
Yeah.
Then in episode 2, when the doors shut again, they've got the roundels, and they so at what point do they swap over? Mm-hmm. So when the doors shut, do they suddenly take on the appearance of the police box doors? I've genuinely never get it in my head, or is it a very slow transition?
Because a lot of the time in John Pertwee stories, you get the idea that there's a little
There's
gap.
2 sets. There's a little vestibule.
There's the outer doors, and then there's the inner doors.
But in the Hartnell stories,
It's
a lot of
not.
the time you see directly outside.
Yeah, particularly at the end of.
Well, it's in the Cave of Skulls,
and from before Marco Polo.
But it's even used in the Christmas special.
Yeah.
The recent one that you see outside.
Yes.
And I like that because it is in, I think, Colony in Space. You can see outside when they land.
You can see the CSO.
And that's probably one of the last sort of times you do it like that. But yeah, all the sort of abandoned names for characters like Bridget and Biddy and.
I've never really liked the name Bridget, purely because I nearly ended up being called it.
Oh right, okay.
Because when I was born, because there's a big gap between my brother and my sister and myself.
Yeah.
I think my parents said to them, when the baby comes, if it's a boy, my brother could name the baby, and if I was a girl, which obviously it was, my sister got to name me.
All right.
And so I think she picked my name, or helped But they nearly called me Bridget because when I was born, I was quite small. I was a bit early.
Yeah.
And there was a song at the time called Bridget the Midget.
Oh, that's very cruel, isn't it?
And I think they nearly called me Bridget.
Okay.
So I've never really liked the name Bridget.
Yeah.
For some reason.
But I like the thing that Susan was originally a bit posher. I mean, there's all this nonsense about her being of royal birth and all that nonsense.
And was she called, because they called her, they say Biddy, then they called her Sue, and then they couldn't decide whether to call her
Suzanne.
Or Suzanne.
Yeah.
Which is a bit more posh, I think, than Susan.
I mean, the whole thing about the descriptions of Ian, or Cliff, as a gorgeous dish.
Yes.
And he can be brainy and a diffident sort. That's quite sexist,
That is quite sexist, yes.
We said about sexism against Barbara, but...
You get a bit of sexism. Or Lola.
Or beefy. Ian being too beefy.
Beefy, yes. Yes. And he's meant to be 27, 28, and I think Ian Russell's...
William Russell,
sorry, is in his 30s.
Yeah, because again...
Because he's been Sir Lancelot.
Again, watch Sir Lancelot.
Oh God, he's fabulous in Sir Lancelot.
Yeah.
He's definitely a prototype.
Yeah, he's very familiar as Ian in Sir Lancelot. You can really see it.
He's basically just using the same kind of
In some ways, Ian is Sir Lancelot in space, isn't he?
Yeah. So, and when he gets to do stuff like in the Crusade,
if you like Ian, look up Sir Lancelot.
It's a great series.
Then the TARDIS sound effect, absolutely brilliant, and the way it keeps building and building and going higher and higher, and you think, is it going to ever stop?
No.
It's really, I could listen to that forever.
And I love the humming as well. We didn't say about it when they go into the junkyard. And they see the police box, and you can just hear that hum.
The low level.
And you never really get that hum these days.
No.
And I love that. It's like the Dalek sound, just in the background. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of this is just low enough that you don't realise it's there.
It's there till you
but if it was taken away, you'd miss it.
Yeah.
So you got the howl round feedback. I've said we've tried it, but it's never as good.
Yeah.
And then you get the next episode caption, basically. And we were saying about the font that they use for the sort of titles. If you watch Red Cap, it pops up in there.
Yeah, it's quite a similar.
And even the stuff that the end titles are left justified at this point.
Yeah.
Later on, I think it's about halfway through Marco Polo, they become centre justified.
Okay, yeah.
And things like that.
Well, it's hard to tell Marco Polo.
Well, the middle episode's missing. There's no telesnap. Well, I say missing. There's no telesnaps. Yeah, but there's no telesnaps for the middle episode. At the start of Marco Polo, it's left justified.
And at the end,
it's centre justified.
Yeah.
I think I prefer centre.
Okay.
But it's just interesting that for the first few weeks, it's on the left. It does look a bit weird now.
And just going back, I meant to say, the TARDIS sound, the dematerialisation sound. I used to have... Well, I've got a keyring that does it, and then you get a bit David Turner, I did have, it doesn't work anymore. And I had it on my phone at one point.
Right.
So if I got a text message, you'd get the TARDIS sound. And we were in a supermarket once, and it went off. I got a text message from somebody. Yeah. And you actually said you were looking for the TARDIS.
Oh, I looked at it, I go, where's the TARDIS landing?
So it's just that little thing of that sound, if you are a Doctor Who fan,
is in your head.
It's in your head, and you're like, oh, well, where's it? Oh, that's my phone.
No, it's my phone.
So, yeah.
But all in all, that's a fantastic first episode to launch not only a Doctor, but a series.
Yes. And without that episode...
Yeah.
Probably, I know it's more so without the Daleks, but without that episode, you probably wouldn't have got as far as that. When they, remaking
I mean, I'm still very fond of the next 3 episodes. I know some people find them a bit of a disappointment.
They're not as good. They're still good.
They're not as good.
But they're not as good as
I still think they're a very solid episode. Yeah. Again, compared to bog standard TV of the time. Yeah. They are attempting a lot. They're very fast. And they're like nothing else you're going to see on TV that year.
And they are nasty.
Yeah, and the brutality of the episode 4 fight sequence especially.
And we should just say, thank you to Maurice Hussein and Verity Lambert. Everybody, but Maurice Hussein could not have picked a more perfect director for the first episode to launch Doctor Who into its long journey.
Yeah, I mean, we've met, I mean, who's up there? Clive Doig, for example. So he's Vision Mixer and things like that. So we still feel we've got a very vague sort of link. Have you ever met William Russell or not?
No.
No, I don't
Never
know.
had the pleasure. We've been in the room with him.
Yeah.
We were at a convention. That was one in Barking where he let slip what the next DVD was.
Oh, yes,
nobody picked up on it.
Yeah.
Nobody. Somebody asked him the question, "What's your favourite story?" And
The
he
one
said,
I've done the
one we've just done the commentary for, the one with the Daleks in London. We were like, "Oh God,
that's not official yet." Shut up.
But nobody picked up on it.
Yeah.
For some reason.
But I know we've sort of been in the room with Verity because
Yes.
she was at the awards thing in 2003, wasn't she?
Yes.
And Caroline Ford, I think we've
We've
seen Caroline
seen Caroline
Ford.
Ford, yes. Again,
So we feel we've got a little bit of a link
Yeah.
with this episode.
Yeah, and we just just say thank you very much to everybody that's involved, because without them we wouldn't have Doctor Who now.
And they really do try their all, because
They do.
you know, they realise they've got to make something special, and they really achieve that, I think, with
I don't
An
think they
Unearthly
were trying
Child.
to make something special. They were just making a children's programme.
Yeah, but they were professionals. They were making it as good as they
Yeah.
could, and as good as they could is
Very good.
Is very good indeed.
Yes.
And I think that shows.
Yes, and we will be looking at Patrick Troughton's first episode, or the animation
Power of the Daleks.
of Patrick Troughton. So thank goodness we have actually got something to watch.
We can actually see there's something
Yes.
of that there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll say goodbye and see you next time then.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.